Greetings, hi, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome to Strat Talk, the series where we talk about strategies for the game Counter-Strike Global Offensive. This one coming from the Cloud9 vs Ninjas in Pyjamas, Game 2 of this series on Dust 2. And we're going to be looking at a very strange buy that Cloud9 did, and it worked out for them, despite it not really being a good idea in terms of how the metagame works. So we're going to examine that. We're going to see sort of how it worked and how individual play factors into your strategies as well, to where you can do an incorrect strategy, you can do a risky strategy like Cloud9 tends to do, and have it pay off due to landing those shots properly. So first round, we're just going to show you how bad economically Cloud9 is in the position. So we see at the end of it, Hiko's able to pick up 2 frags, and that's it. He dies. So you have 2 frags off of that. We saw players buying a kit. We saw some pistol buys in that first round. Economically, CT should save for 4th round. They only got 2 frags there, both of them on Hiko. This round, they're going to be buying those $300 pistols, spending $300 a piece, which is okay because they can still do the 4th round buy. If you notice, they hardly get any frags, if any. Let's watch it here in fast motion. Terrorists completely roll them. Wow, that's incredible there. Okay, so now we move on to round number 3, and this is where the crazy buy happens. Conventional metagame. When you see that your teammates on CT side are sitting at only about 3,000. We have them ranging from 3,000 up to 3,600 on Hiko because he got those 2 frags. And that's only because he got those. Only 2 players on Ninjas in Pyjamas died, way ahead economically. They're going to be able to upgrade their weapons and have anything they want. So conventional wisdom tells you you need to save here because terrorists are going to have a huge weapon advantage. But watch what Cloud9 does with that little bit of money. And they will be purchasing. They will be buying up. So if we look at their buy right now, they've spent all of their money on this round. This is incredibly risky. This is not a standard thing to do here. It's sort of it's a force buy 3rd round CT after a loss. Especially consider that Dust 2 is a map that is CT side, or I'm sorry, that's terrorist sided. It's very even, but it's slightly terrorist sided. So it's not really a map where you're going to be doing that kind of a buy. 2nd round after a loss, you're going to try and do that armor pistol. Cloud9 tends to not do that. By not doing the armor pistol, which still allows you to do the 4th round buy, they are able to do this 3rd round force with FAMASes. Now, why is this not ideal? Well, as we see over here by the weapons on the terrorist side, except for Flaren and Get Right, we have 3 AKs. That actually is pretty ideal for counter-terrorists because we see 2 players, or 3 players actually, not able to afford that helmet. AK-47's a 1-hit headshot anyway, don't have to worry about it. So that's okay that they're in that position. But the FAMAS is much worse than the AK-47. FAMAS is going to take you 2 or 3 shots, depending on your range, to kill a player in the head. Whereas we have the AK-47, it's a 1-tap machine. Also, CTs don't really have a lot of nades and flashes to hold off positions. But again, on Dust 2, it's not really a map where you hold off very much. You use smokes here at B, you use smokes here at long. But watch how Cloud9 sets up here as we move a little bit further into this. There's CT side setup. We actually have Gares scouting up middle. Scout is a very cheap weapon. That was a smart buy. He's got the CZ to complement it as well. So if a player moves up close, he can still use that CZ. So that's pretty smart. We see Cloud9 moving into a position now where they're holding off these strong rush positions. We actually see a smoke down here to hold them off from taking bomb site B. Early on Dust 2, the rush places are into bomb site B and out long A. If terrorists take those positions very quickly, it's very bad for the counter-terrorists. So Cloud9 double stacks 2 players each on each of these positions, with Gares in a position where he can help at B as well. Because they don't have the smokes to hold off the pushes, they have to play it a little bit more aggressively on this CT side. Ninjas in Pyjamas, in the meantime, has intel that Cloud9 is doing this buy by this point. They even heard the scout shot up middle. You wouldn't expect a player to buy scout on this round. So we move a little bit forward here, and we see Ninjas in Pyjamas are just working on taking mid control. That's it. At this point in the game, while we have that smoke down middle, once that smoke clears is the time where players may rotate from lower B up to short. And you can actually get a kill. You can get a pick off of that. So Semphis and Gares, their mission right now is to kill the player trying to jump up onto Xbox to go short. When that smoke clears, they'll have a chance to hit it. They can even look over the smoke if they want to. And if we move a little bit forward, that's exactly... Oh, way too fast there. That is exactly what happens. Smoke is now clear. Gare's watching the headshot position here. And... boom, headshot, takes out Forrest. So that's huge. Now putting it into a 5 versus 4 on this Force Buy round. Very good for Ninjas and for Cloud9. Now this is sort of where that individual skill aspect, just outshooting the other guy, comes into play. Forrest had the advantage. Forrest had nades, flashes, smokes. He had an AK-47. Gares has a scout. So definitely favoring Forrest, especially in terms of the positioning there as well. He could easily just smoke out that position, throw a flash to force Gares back. He didn't have to engage there, but he very aggressively went for a peek, and he got punished for it. All right, so Gares goes for another shot. Not going to happen. Terrace again peeking and ready for it. Now, Ninjas in Pyjamas here on the T side says, okay, we're down a man. We got to trick them. We have to try and force a rotate. So they throw the smoke down mid. That's like saying, we're going short. Then they wait, and Exist is going to throw the next smoke, I believe. And this is a mid to B smoke. So saying, let's go short is going to cause one of the CTs to rotate a little bit. But then they throw the mid to B smoke, which you can see right here. Thrown over the top, blocking off here. This point is very critical because in Cloud9's mind, they have to think of this strategically. Okay, they smoked middle, then they threw the mid to B smoke. So they're trying to fake. They're trying to force us to rotate. They're going to do a mid to B, and they're pushing out right now. So CTs are going to watch out for that. The only player they have watching short here is nothing. This is a trick. Ninjas in Pyjamas, after throwing the mid to B smoke, actually pushes at short A. It's a very simple trick. Very simple mind game, and as you see, Semphis stays behind. Semphis is not watching from CT spawn at short, and it's just nothing here to hold this off. Now Semphis moves back, so if Ninjas in Pyjamas had pushed there, maybe thrown some flashes, maybe thrown another smoke to block off CT spawn, they could have pushed into the site just worrying about nothing, and you can easily flash out this position as well. They don't know where he would be standing. So waits a little bit there. However, as we see here, with a player aggressing at long. 3 CTs watching from long, and Terrace are pushing short now. Now, the picks are going to happen in favor of the Terrorists, and they are able to use their little smoke at middle thing to take short A. So they now have short A. The only person they had to kill was Semphis, and they will be able to plant this bomb. Now it's just about holding off the retake. Let's check out the positioning of Ninjas in Pyjamas now. We have Faflaren up middle. He's playing Lurk. Usually you have Get Right playing that kind of a position. And watch, T's get really spread out here, and that's going to be their main mistake. So we'll move forward a little bit. Faflaren not really in a position to deal with a bomb. We have Freiberg pushing short. Look how far away he is from his teammates. Very far away. Actually, Faflaren just killed the rotate player. And it now puts it into a 2 versus 2. Because Shroud is able to very nicely get 2 headshots. I'm going to rewind so we can watch just the individual skill of Shroud landing those shots with the FAMAS on Exist and Get Right. So at this point, bomb's getting planted. We have 2 players executing a pincers movement on mid. That leaves 2 players in the site. Watch this. And again, shooting Get Right even through that smoke, just knows where he's going to be standing. That is where you have a strategy where it looks like Ninjas in Pyjamas is going to win this round. We have a risky buy here from Cloud9, but it doesn't even matter. They win it there due to the shooting of Shroud and due to that 2 frag that he was able to pull off. However, Ninjas in Pyjamas did leave 2 players in the site to hold off the 2 players who were left, who both moved in here, one from Long and one Hiko from CT. So spreading out a little bit, it was a move to try and kill the rotators from B side and have a surround on them. So we had Freiberg from one side and Faflaren on the other. However, because Shroud is able to get those excellent shots and just the game sense to know where Get Right's going to be standing, things change dramatically. And now we have a position where CTs have the site, Ts have to rotate. So Hiko is going to do the fake defuse. Every time he fake defuses, it's going to force Ninjas in Pyjamas to have to peek that bomb plant. Where they planted that bomb is a place that they can watch from long. They can also watch from short. So Faflaren from long has to peek it. He has Shroud looking at him as well. And Hiko continuing to do the fake defuse. And again, every time he taps that, Terrace have to make something happen. So you see Freiberg kind of pops out and shoots it. There's another. There's another. Faflaren moves out. I think this opens it up for Shroud to take the shot. And then we have, actually, yeah, Shroud takes the last one. So, again, some really excellent shooting there from Cloud9. A good hold off on the site. They had Shroud sort of at the goose side, watching long and short. Hiko doing the fake defuse to try and force those terrorists to push out so that they could pick them. They are able to pick them despite being at a disadvantage and doing a risky buy. If this hadn't worked out, they wouldn't have been able to do the 4th round buy. Now you think to yourselves, okay, it worked out for Cloud9, but is it the right call? And that's a very interesting question, because 4th round buy, you can actually may even be able to get an AWP, you have M4s, you have all the nades and flashes you need, you have a much better chance of winning in a buy round versus buy round, versus this sort of force buy 3rd round. If this had gone south, they would have had to save 4th round and bought 5th round. So it would have delayed their attempt at a buy versus buy to the 5th round. So I don't know if it's the right decision. I don't know. It was a very risky buy. However, Cloud9 did pull it off because of that individual skill, and I think that is sort of the message to take away from this strat talk, in that strategy is one thing, but Counter-Strike is a marriage of teamwork, strategy, and that individual skill of the player. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit polygamist there, but because there were 3 things, so I shouldn't have said marriage, but that's okay. It's a friendship between those 3 aspects. All right, so even if one fails, even if one you may question it, you can still make something happen. Of course, the teams have their own little identities and their own things that they do and things that they know works. And for Cloud9, this worked. And they stole that point. Another thing with the force buy is you sort of surprise your opponents. They haven't planned for you to buy. They've planned an anti-eco. So that could have been the thinking behind Cloud9's force buy. Either way, it did work. Thank you folks very much for watching. I am TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.